where you get a fairly significant run-in. Probably one of the most famous conflicts in the history of the whole Bible, maybe even of the whole Scriptures. It's where Elijah has been warning and warning and warning the people, and finally he says, you know what? Enough. It's time for an ultimate showdown. And so he tells King Ahab, you bring all of the priests of Baal up to Mount Carmel. We're going to end the conflict here. So in chapter 18, verse 17, it says, it came to pass that when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel?
It's like, no, Ahab, it was you, and it was your false worship that you borrowed from Jeroboam, and you guys are going after the golden calves. It's interesting how often when people are suffering and causing it for themselves, we'll blame it on others, which is doubly sad because it makes it even harder to then solve the problem that's causing the distress.
Yeah. So Elijah's answer is, verse 19, therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450. So they go and they're up on Mount Carmel. And here's the famous opening line up there on that mountain. And verse 21, Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? How long are you going to try to sit on this fence and please two sides? So he says, if the Lord be God, follow him. And if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. They're sitting there in silence like, don't know what to say to that. So he continues the dialogue here with the people in verse 22 by saying, then said Elijah unto the people, even I alone remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. So the odds are 1 to 450. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And then here's his invitation. You've got 450 of you, there's only 1 of me. You go first. You get to pick the bull. I'll take whichever bull you don't want. You cut yours up, I'll cut mine up. And then you go and pray to your God, and have your God come and light your sacrifice on fire.
And maybe he'll hear you if you guys are loud enough.
So verse 27 says, after they've cut their bull and they've been crying to him, verse 27 says, and it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he's talking, or he's pursuing, or he's in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth and must be awakened. Try harder. So what do? They cried aloud. They cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets till the blood gushed out upon them. And then midday gets past, and nothing. And Elijah, he's taunting them. Verse 30, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. So they've been going for hours and hours and hours trying to get Baal to listen and accept their sacrifice. And he says, okay, enough. You're done. My turn. So he calls the people up, and he repairs the altar with 12 stones, beautiful symbolism for the 12 tribes of Israel. And then he makes a trench to contain 2 measures of seed. He puts the wood in order, and then he tells them, go and get 4 barrels with water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. So the people do it. And then he says, go do it again. And a 3rd time. And they did it the 3rd time. And now water is just dripping everywhere, filling the trench around the altar. It's just drenched. He's trying to set up this impossible scenario.
Yeah, fire cannot light that. Fire cannot consume that. He's trying to make it absolutely clear that there is only one God, and he is absolutely capable of doing all things.
So then in the time of the evening sacrifice, he cries, verse 37, hear me, O Lord. Which, by the way, don't you find that beautiful? God's prophet saying, listen to me, hear me. Because this is coming from a man who has spent his life listening to God, hearing Him, listening very carefully and following what God has asked him to do. And now he reverses the direction of that arrow, and he's pleading with the Lord to hear him. Hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. And then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust and licked up the water that was in the trench. Now, if you're standing there watching this, these people, these Israelites, there's no question in anybody's mind what just happened as he set up this competition. How long halt ye between two opinions? Well, he made the answer pretty straightforward. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and they said, "The Lord, He is the God. The Lord, He is the God."